Good morning, everyone. Yes, special transmission here. Today is September 7th, 2018. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. What we're going to do today is I have a special guest coming on. Her name is Vicky Davis. She is an incredible investigative journalist. I've had her on before, and she has her own blog. It's in the description box below, along with some information on the Global Engagement Center, which is part of the Department of State. We're going to talk about that during the program today. So again, welcome. That's going to be our focus pretty much, with one exception, actually two. And the first one is that, there's been some concern about Craig Sawyer, and anybody who works like we do, and especially like Craig does, is going to get a lot of flack by people who want to denigrate what he does, what they do, try to throw dispersions upon their efforts. And no one's perfect, okay? But I saw something on Twitter this morning that I think that you should know about if you don't have Twitter. It was from Craig Sawyer. And, I think I'll go ahead and just read it from his Twitter post is what I think I'll do. I have it written down. But it is, considering what he does and his efforts, a lot of people will say, "Oh, he's really working for Clinton. He's really not doing this. Whatever." All kinds of accusations against him. Well, let me read this to you. This is from Craig Sawyer. You can go to his Twitter account and see it. I'm going to show it to you on camera, okay? I don't know if you can see that. See that there? Listen to this. My daughter was abducted at knife point and sexually assaulted for 5 hours almost 18 months ago. Can you imagine the horror for that daughter of his, and also for Craig and her family? Her rapist is now on his 14th public defender in Tucson, Arizona. That's right, 14th public defender. Now, of course, Craig is very much involved. There's an organization he started called Vets for Child Rescue, trying to go after the child traffickers, pedophiles, things like that. And now everyone's going to have to pay attention, okay? A guy like this, he's serious. He's not doing this for giggles or to, his Vets for Child Rescue. He's not doing that to take you off course or to get your money. I want you to know about that. That's a tragedy. And what the city public defender, or I would think that it's probably the county, actually, because that's a felony. What the DA's office is allowing there is absolutely disgusting. 14th public defender. So I don't want to hear any more defamities, I guess that's what you'll call them anyway, denigrations of Craig Sawyer. Let's not do that. I'm sorry, Craig, that happened to you. I've been there myself. I know what you're talking about. The other thing I thought I'd mention real quick before Vicky comes on is that there's some indications, of course, some flights coming in from Mecca, from the annual pilgrimage. People are sick on the airplanes. I think there have been 2 of them now, maybe 3. I don't want to say this, but I almost have to. Remember what the Europeans did when they came to the Americas? They brought smallpox infected blankets to give to the natives to spread disease. I don't think any of this is by accident. This is Vicky. Let me take it real quick. Hi, Vicky. How you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Well, it's good to hear from you. You came in at just the right time. I'm just going to do a couple of other things here just for a second. I'm going to put you on speakerphone so that it'll be a little bit louder and people can hear you, okay? And I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much. Okay, so Vicky is already called in, and we're going to get right to her. I want to apologize again for the difficulties I'm having in the transmission. Remember, yesterday we were having a lot of downtime. In other words, it kept skipping, it kept buffering. And I'm looking at the connection today. Again, I actually hardwired my transmission computer in to make sure that it wasn't the Wi-Fi, and it's not. It's definitely up the line somewhere in the service. So I apologize for that, but we should be okay, at least in the voice area. So please pay attention. Okay. And before we go to Vicky, I want you to know in the description box below are two links, again, like I just said. One is for the Global Engagement Center of the Department of State. The other is Vicky's blog site. And I want you to know about both of those. And she might give us some more information a little later. But I want to read from the Global Engagement Center, the U.S. Department of State's website on the Global Engagement Center, just a couple of paragraphs. Now, this was something that Obama started, and you'll see that here in just a minute, like that surprises anybody. The Global Engagement Center is charged with leading the U.S. government's efforts to counter propaganda and disinformation from international terrorist organizations in foreign countries. It's not supposed to be against Americans, but you wouldn't think. But the way they get around that is because they accuse everybody of being Russian agents if they talk against the deep state. I think we all understand that. The Secretary of State established the Global Engagement Center in April 2016, during the presidential campaign, pursuant to Executive Order 13721, signed by Obama. The GEC was subsequently codified into law by Congress in fiscal year 2017 in the National Defense Authorization Act, and it's too bad we don't have a line item veto at this point, which defined its mission as being to lead, synchronize, and coordinate efforts of the federal government to recognize, understand, expose, and counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation efforts aimed at undermining United States national security interests. There read the deep state. The GEC operates as a forward-looking, innovative organization that can shift focus quickly to remain responsive to agile adversaries. The GEC leverages data science, cutting-edge advertising technologies, and top talent from the private sector. Very important. With detailed leads from across the interagency, the GEC coordinates messaging efforts to ensure they are streamlined and to eliminate duplication. The GEC plays a key role in the U.S. government's strategy, read deep state again, to defeat terrorist organizations and disrupt their ability to recruit new followers. The GEC approaches the task of undermining terrorist ideology with the understanding that the people and groups closest to the battlefield of narratives are the most effective in countering them. And you can go to the website and read the rest of it, because now I want to get to Vicky. And again, I'm just going to preface this before we start with saying that the purpose of this program is not to attack Your Voice America or Tracy Beans, although I have some concerns here. I want you to know that I did not see this. I mean, I saw it, Ann Vandersteel with these two guys on Twitter. I saw that because they basically, I'm not sure if they're always on YouTube, but it was on Twitter that I saw this. Your Voice America is primarily a Periscope program, and with Bill Mitchell and Ann Vandersteel. And, I looked at it and I thought, well, that's nice. It wasn't until last night that I got an email from Vicky telling me that there were some things about this that were concerning her. And then I found out Tracy Beans was involved. Now, Tracy Beans had also been involved in the start of Q. We already know that. Anybody who's been following me, you understand that. And so I went and looked at this, and lo and behold, this is starting out exactly with Tracy Beans the way the Q thing did. Oh, I found this, although she's been working with YVA in the past. She has, I don't know if she's actually on the staff or a regular contributor because I don't go there that often, but I understand that she does. So when I saw her video, I went, wow, this is proceeding just like the situation with the Q LARP did. So then I got concerned and looked at a few things, and I just want to say again, because there are some internecine battles between the MAGA News Network and those people and Your Voice America. I'm not in that fight. I don't have a dog in that fight. But these types of things kind of pop up, and people might accuse Vicky and myself of trying to stomp on YVA. That's not what's happening here. I'm worried about the bigger picture because I think this is indicative of the GEC operating. I hope I'm wrong. I haven't looked into it deep enough yet to give you an actual background, but that's why I brought Vicky on, because she's always on top of these things. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Vicky Davis. I've had her on before. She's a fantastic investigative journalist, and unfortunately I have to do it low tech. So are you all set, Vicky?
Yeah, I sure am.
Okay, and I do have you on the speakerphone, so you might have to speak up just a little bit to make sure that everybody hears you. But according to my gauges, it's looking pretty good. So why don't you give us a little rundown on yourself again? I probably didn't do you justice. Just a quick, 30 seconds to a minute about things, and then let's start talking about what you found with YVA, Tracy Beans, and your suspicions on the GEC.
hmm Okay, well, first of all, I have to correct something. I'm really not an investigative journalist. I was a computer systems analyst turned internet researcher. And so all of my background was in the analysis and design of mainframe computer systems. So my research on the internet is all centered around systems, computer systems, the systems of government, and how they are turning our government into essentially using all of the information that they have about us, which is everything, into basically a Stasi police state. Now, whether that was their intent or not doesn't make any difference what their intent was. That's what they've done. And so, all of my research revolves around the systems of government. Okay, and I've been doing this for a long time, so, and I became aware of what I'll call the psyoposphere on the internet, the psyops that take place. And when I first started on the internet, I was not aware of any of that. I was totally clueless. I was just a person who knew how to use the internet to do searches and stuff. And once I detected that we had a real serious problem in our government, I started doing serious research on it. And in the process of that, I got kind of, how will I say this, kind of dragooned into a group of people that all seemed to know each other. I was the outsider coming in. Well, it turned out it was kind of like a PSYOP group. They were steering me and guiding me, and it was really a very, very interesting experience. But anyway, that's what initially tipped me off, that there really are groups of people on the internet, and their objective is to steer the direction and steer the thinking of people. And that's a very dangerous thing, because if your intent is to lead people off of a path, you can lead them into directions that really will cause them a lot of trouble, cause everybody a lot of trouble, even serious trouble like jail and things like that. And so it's something that everybody should always be alert to, that when new people come onto the website or onto the internet, I always scrutinize them, and what immediately gets my attention, if somebody comes out big, they're big immediately, and it seems like they have a lot of funding behind them, I'm suspicious, because it seems like that most of the people that are on the Patriot side, they don't have any money. So not that money is the telling factor, but it's a clue.
Well, if I can interrupt here for just a minute, because I want to make a little statement about your Voice America again. I do believe that it's a conservative, Trump-supporting program, and that's everything that's gone on there. However, and I've been watching this from the sidelines. They got in real deep into Q. Now, there was some information that Bill Mitchell didn't want to do that, but was told that he had to. I don't know the inner workings. I'm not really familiar about it. With it. I've just seen it from the outside. But they did support Q a lot. One of the big things that they pushed very strongly, and they still are, is that we need to trust Sessions. And of course, I'm totally against that. All of the evidence, even Donald Trump's public statements, say otherwise. So that has to give me a little bit of concern about what YVA is really about. And I don't mean to slam Bill Mitchell or even Ann Vandersteel. I just don't know them that well. But the evidence of supporting Sessions and Q was an indication that there was a problem. When you got a hold of me yesterday, and I've already said this, and I saw that Tracy Beans, who has been on the YVA before, I understand. I have not seen her there, but I understand that she has, and that she may be more intimately involved in YVA at the present time than anybody's willing to admit, especially her. The way she came out with this program after you showed it to me, I looked at it, and her introduction as if, wow, I found this is amazing, these people are brilliant, wow, this is great, I want everybody to go there. And I thought, she sounds just like she did 2 days after Q came out last October, before anybody really saw what was going on. And of course, I don't know if you've been following our investigation into that, but apparently she and Jordan Sather were very much involved in that entire Q LARP when it started. I ought to give her a chance to defend herself, and I've asked her to do that, but she won't, and I don't anticipate she ever will. But I'm not doing this program again. I want everybody to make sure that you understand. I'm not attacking YVA. I'm not attacking Tracy Beans, but we need to get to the bottom of this. So with that little extra information, Vicky, please go ahead and tell us what you found.
Mm-hmm. Well, after listening to Tracy Beans, and she was just so gushing about these people, I found on YouTube, I clicked on the link, she has the link there, for the full interview with these two guys who are apparently former NSA people, and they're supposedly coming out now and saying the government has been doing bad things. Problem with what they're saying is that they're saying that it started with the Obama administration, and that it was bad people in the Obama administration that have exploited this information to use against people. Well, I take issue with that. Now, and I will give them this much credit. They were inside the government, working inside the NSA in a compartmentalized area. But if you're looking from the outside, actually, Total Information Awareness was designed by Admiral Poindexter's group, and it was ready to switch on September 12th, 2001. Okay, so, and it's not just, now these two guys, they talk about technology. Well, technology is an ambiguous term. It's not really the hardware that is the problem so much, it's the software. And when you're talking about software, you're talking about systems. And they talk about communications, just, the communications, picking up emails and things like that. Well, the government has so much more information than that. I mean, if you think of every government database that you might be in, that would include the IRS, the school records, health records, probably. I mean, just the government collects all kinds of information. And it's the aggregation of all that data that the government has access to that is the real problem. Okay? So, now, as far as the access to it goes, I know that Obama did do some things that made more of the data available, but this data was available even before that. So, and it's really in how they went about aggregating this data that is a problem. After 9/11, Richard, what was that guy's name? Richard Clark. He was the National Coordinator for Security, Infrastructure Protection, and Counterterrorism. What he was doing is sector by sector, getting the large corporations to form data centers for data sharing. Okay, in this excerpt, let me read this excerpt to you of something that he said on May 16th in the year 2000. The second thing I'd like to challenge you to think about as a group and give us advice is on information sharing. We've been able to establish an information sharing center for the banking industry. 13 banks representing almost 80% of the assets of the United States formed a limited liability corporation and formed a computer defense center which SIAC is managing. We're trying to get other sectors of the economy to do that as well. The NCC has become, in effect, a telecom center similar to the banking and finance center. Okay? So, now, as it pertains to these two guys, well, let me back up a little bit more. There was an admiral. His name was Admiral Art Sabrowski, and he is considered to be the father of net-centric warfare. And in the 1990s, they published a book, I think it was Revolution in Military Affairs and the New American Way of Warfare. And that warfare was using the internet as both a surveillance device, but also as an effects-based operations tool. Effects-based operations are PSYOPs. Okay? But these two guys at this center, they are limiting the scope of what they're talking about to just simply the Obama administration and the voting.
You're talking about the two guys on Ann Vandersteel's Your Voice America.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Just want to make sure everybody knows
right.
that. Mm-hmm. By the way, let me interrupt and just give their names so people will know. Ann introduced them as Robert Carone and Joshua Mesius, I think is how he pronounces his name. And yes, they say that they're IC. I have no doubt that they are. However, as she goes on here, I think you'll see some other problems that we're concerned about. Go ahead, Vicky. Sorry to interrupt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of suspect that maybe they are trying to clean up the mess that has been created by this whole, I call it a gambit, the Russian hack gambit, which means that it was an effects-based operation designed to create an incident big enough to justify government centralization of voter registration database. And, you know, because the Jay Johnson, DHS Secretary Jay Johnson, had been working on the voting system. Actually, they started working on it, I think, in 2003. The Help America Vote Act was passed, and that was intended, that was because of what happened with the election of 2000 in Florida. the hanging chads and all of that stuff. Okay, that was the first move on our election systems to centralize, to build a government management system for our elections system. Okay, and the way it seems that the way that they always have to have a justification for building any kind of a government computer system, or for merging databases or collecting data, and so we've had so many of these dialectics played out that are really effects-based operations. And you can almost tell, because the media just is all over the story. You hear about it for weeks and weeks. Congress holds hearings, and then they pass legislation that expands the police state. It allows the government agencies to do, whatever the next phase of the building of this American-style police state system is, where they have total information on everybody. And if they have total information, they have total control, which has been my concern always.
So in regards to what happened on Your Voice America and then Tracy Beans's video, I'd like to kind of try to get to the root of why. Now, before I say that, let me say that the alternative media, Alex Jones, YVA, any of those we could list, are open to folks who want to talk and to in the government and want to come forward. And I think that's a good thing. I want to make sure that I'm prefacing all this with saying that I think that's a good thing. But I question, as I said yesterday and as I'm going to say again now, why something of this particular magnitude would be brought on to YVA, and why Tracy Beans would be, as you said, gushing all over it. You mentioned that you thought that this was Q 2.0 with a face. So can we kind of get into that side of it? Because I think a lot of the technical information that we're going over is probably going to make some people a little confused. So let's try to stay right on this situation with YVA and Tracy Beans and these two gentlemen.
Okay. Well, the object is to lead people. Now, before they took Alex Jones off the air, I heard Steve Pieczenik say. Steve Pieczenik is a psychiatrist, and he's been in the bowels of government for a long time. But I heard him say that Facebook and that they're not reaching the right demographic of people. And so I knew something was going to happen, and I'd been watching for it. The idea here is to have thought leaders to guide people on what to think about.
Just like you did, the Socratic questions, to get people focused in a certain direction and not paying attention to some of the really important things.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so, like Q did, that they'll have a different style because they're there right in front of you. But when you're listening to people, you have to listen for what they don't say, or as you analyze what they're saying, how are they limiting the scope of what they're saying? Which is what I do. I analyze how they say it and what they're talking about, and what are they leaving out? What are they not telling you? Which is a difficult thing to do if everything is new to you, which is the problem with a lot of people on the internet. They have no clue about systems and technology and how all this stuff works. And so, but the danger in it is that they can create false impressions in people's minds and lead you off into a different direction than what you should be. Instead of focusing over here at this, looking at this, they're directing you to look over here at this. And so you completely miss the important part of what's going on.
Now, a lot of people would say, and I'll have to say this myself, it's hard to actually cover everything, of course, and sometimes you get rutted, into a particular topic line. That's very easy to have happen, and a lot of people will be saying that that's just what's going on here. However, my feeling is that this is almost a competitive move against Patriot Soapbox and the Q thing. The Q thing has been exposed. It's going to continue to be exposed. And a lot of the original Q-tubers that were in this, if they haven't bailed, they've been looking for other subject matter or other ways to get this information that they want out, whether it be good or bad. What I saw when I saw Tracy Beans do this in YVA was the effort to make sure that if Q goes down, and I might be way off here, Vicky, you tell me what you think. If Q goes down, which we're pretty sure it is because they've been claiming to be close to the president, have information right from the president and somebody close to him like a military intelligence guy, which is absolutely absurd as we know at this point. So they're teetering, and I've warned Jordan Sather about that and some others. So could this be a move by the same people, and I'm going to just say it, HRC, the leftist Marxists, the deep state, whatever, through the GEC program to make sure that they still have an impact when Q goes away? Is there any possibility? Because now we've got, one of the big questions is, Q is faceless. We don't know who it is. Well, now they're putting faces out there. I laud whistleblowers. But the way this thing is organized and the way it's being constructed, I'm very suspicious that this is, as you pointed out, Q 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I absolutely think that's true. All of the Q followers are people who are looking for other people to tell them what they should be thinking. Rather than going out and finding their own information, there are people that are saying, tell me what I should be thinking, and then those people then go out and spread it out to their friends. I think it's probably kind of mathematical. If you convert one person, that one person will go convert his friends, which might be 2 or 3. Those people will then convert their friends.
Oh, absolutely. Q actually has said that. The Q bureaucracy, I'll call it that way, Patriot Soapbox and all of the Q-tubers on the side, that's exactly what they do. They promote each other. They promote themselves. Absolutely 100%.
Mm-hmm. And in this technocratic agenda that is going on, this development of these police state systems, there are a lot of people making a lot of money doing this. And so there's a lot of incentive to get people to think that this is a good thing that's going on. It's not a bad thing that's going on. But if you understand how the information can be used against people, which we've seen on a number of occasions, we've seen it, against Trump. Although he didn't really get hurt too much, but you can use this information to take down anybody, even somebody who's never done anything wrong in their life. They can be set up to be taken down, and so that's really the danger of these kinds of programs that they've implemented in our government. And so there's a lot of incentive to recruit people to promote the thinking of young people. And I saw this a long time ago. There was a website called Tech Central Station, and it was all the young IT people. And this website was really just pandering to the young people, telling them that, they are the smartest, the best generation, absolutely, just...
Almost
really
sounds like Nazi Goebbels propaganda, doesn't it?
Yeah, oh, it is. It is. And they are very, very sophisticated. And really, I have to say, money is really not an object because there is so much money involved. So everybody has to be alert to the potential that just about anybody that you know on the internet may in fact be one of these thought leaders put out there on the internet to guide your thinking, guide your path of research, to lead you in the direction that they want you to go. So,
Well, I appreciate that, Vicky. You mind if there are a few questions on the chat that maybe I would like you to address if you don't mind, so I'll just repeat this here.
Sure.
And let me see if what I've got that will be good. Some of these are just crazy, but I'm trying to find a really good one here. Yeah, let's see. Actually, nobody's asking. I was hoping they would have a specific question. Let me ask everybody out there, so I don't have to hunt this down on chat. Is there anybody there that has a specific question about this for Vicky? The situation I'm talking about is Your Voice America having these two IC people on, and the situation with Tracy Beans being involved immediately with that, almost in the same manner as the Q thing popped up last October. Does anybody have any questions about that particular thing here? Let me see if we're getting any of those, Vicky, and find out. Okay. One guy says, well, if Trump supports Q, he's part of the problem. Well, we've anticipated that if Trump comes out and says that Q isn't real, that all the Q-tubers are going to hold him responsible anyway. So, okay, here's maybe one that I think a lot of folks would probably ask a question about. It's from Mary Donahoe. She says, how does Roy or that lady know what Q says if not watching? Q encourages people to question things. Doesn't cost me a cent. No channel gets money from me. That's her question, and I'm going to answer part of that first, Vicky, and then I'll let you take the other side. Why don't I follow Q anymore? Because it's nonsense. Okay, I followed it the first 3 to 4 weeks very closely, and when I saw the change and I saw where it was going, I realized it was a psyop and a cultic experience. Q turned off its, basically he said, or they said, that they were done in middle to late November and that they were not coming back. He says, we're done. You've got everything you need. And then all of a sudden there was that transfer to another Chan. And of course, oh yeah, Q's going to dutifully, after saying he's done, dutifully follow Pamphlet and those guys over to the new Chan. No, I don't buy that, and the techies do not either. No military intelligence person is going to make themselves subject to somebody else like that. So that's not the case at all. How do I know about the rest of the Q stuff? Because it's everywhere. People constantly talk about it. You can't get away from it. It has permeated and saturated the alternative, the right is what it's done. It's even now, of course, gone into Trump campaign rallies. And to show you how much Trump really appreciates these people, the Secret Service will not let them bring their Q signs in, and will even give them a Trump MAGA T-shirt in exchange for their Q shirts when they show up. And enough people, either in the administration or associated with the administration, have said that Q is bad. So, if in my estimation, Vicky, to answer this question, I'll let you take it. In my estimation, I've seen enough to realize, as I said a few minutes ago, that the GEC, the State Department, was looking at another way, and this is a rogue part of it, Pompeo isn't as in much control as people would like to think, and certainly the president isn't. That they, like I said, they're looking for an alternative in case Q falls apart. So that's my answer to that. What would you like to say, Vicky? I'm sorry I took so long.
Right. Oh, no, that's okay. If you think about this logically, you know, some guy named Q pops up in 4chan. It's right in the demographic they're trying to reach. And Q asks questions to get people to think. Okay, so if you're asking a question, you may very well do a search. Well, if you do a search, what you think about is going to be probably within the first 3 articles that you get on your search. So if these people are who I think they are, it's not a problem to make sure that the articles that they want you to read come up in the first 3 on your search.
Right.
And so everything, there are organizations, well, Google, obviously, Facebook, they are linked into the telecommunications industry, okay? They have, they're not just entrepreneurs like they make you think, you know, like, I forget what the guy on Facebook, what his name is, but that guy did not develop that program, Facebook, by himself. He probably didn't even think of it.
Oh, you mean Zuckerberg?
Yeah, is that Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is just.
We know he's a cutout. Yeah, we know he's a cutout. You know about the situation with Leader Technologies, that the CIA took over their information once it got to the patent office, and of course Clinton had a hand in that. So yeah, they stole the thing, and then they put up people like Zuckerberg as you know, frontmen, empty suits basically. But go ahead.
Yeah, and they do that with all of these technology companies. I think even the guy on Amazon was probably one of those show pony entrepreneurs that they put out in front, and they are supposedly, you know, magically they develop all this stuff and make zillions of dollars. Well, I believe the CIA is behind all of it from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's been admitted actually at this point.
Mm-hmm. And so, but they have access to systems and information that is well beyond what I could do if I were developing a system, or what you could do, or what most anybody on the internet could do. So, see, I forgot where I was going with that.
You know, it's funny to hear you say that, because I do that all the time. Even on the live stream, I start pulling so much information, and I forget what the original point was. So, actually, the fact that you did that is very comforting to me. You know, thank you. Well, let's see. Go ahead.
You asked me a question, and
I guess the question is how do you think that this thing? Why is this situation with YVA, Your Voice America, Tracy Beans, and these two gentlemen? Why is this so critical? Why did this get your attention? What was it about that specifically? And you've probably already addressed it, but I think that's where we need to press that, because that's really the issue. What was it that concerned you about that? What was it? Just the manner in which it happened? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what was it that concerned you on that exactly?
Well, that just all of a sudden 119 or whatever it is, former CIA government people coming out and you know, trying to right the wrongs of the Obama administration. And that bothered me right immediately, because it didn't start with the Obama administration. When they first started internet development, William Daley of the Chicago Daily crime family was head of the Information Infrastructure Task Force. So this goes well back. Democrats were involved. As a matter of fact, the whole development of these systems started during the Clinton administration. So it really has always been a major Democrat project. And I'm not sure how involved the Republicans were in the Congress until after 9/11. Okay, well, after 9/11, then, but they already had plans in place for Homeland Security. So it bothers me when people just they don't, when they narrowly focus on one particular slice of time or one particular person or group of people, because this thing is so much bigger than that.
Right. In other words, it's a lot like there's a YouTube personality by the name of Unirock, and that's his complaint. He says it's obvious that so much of this is political. It's not about getting to the basic information and what's really happening. It's about a political move to convince people one way or the other, Republican or Democrat, and that's not getting to the truth. As we know, the system, is a farce about that left-right paradigm. I'd also like to interject here, because there are a couple of people who have said a couple of things. I got to address this, Vicky. I hope you'll let me do it. There's a Carol Gentry who said that Q talks about Roy. Q talks about me. Q talks about Roy Potter. Now, I've heard this before, and like I said, I haven't been watching Q, but Q actually did. Q and his and a character by the name of B that was really his YouTube and his Twitter shill, or their Twitter shill. We know who that person is now. But at any rate, I mean, the mere fact, and I think this is very indicative of my point. How many followers do I have on YouTube? 50,000. I might get 1,000 or 2,000 views on a video. I used to get like 20,000 until I turned against Q, and that's fine. But my point is here, Carol Gentry, if Q is talking about Roy Potter, that proves that they're not military intelligence in the White House. Okay? If they're focused on somebody as small as me, that's not a government insider. Okay? That's Pamphlet Anon. That's Steve Kelly. That's Jordan Sather, et cetera, who are concerned that what I say is influencing their bottom line. Okay, that right there proves that Q is not a government insider if they're talking about Roy Potter. And when I came out against B in the DEF CON 1 last year, and they had attacked myself, Ann Coulter, who never talked about Q as far as I know, Ann Coulter, Mike Cernovich, and Jack Posobiec, who also hadn't gotten into the Q thing, I knew that this was a thing about money and competition and trying to slam people down that they thought might take concentration off of the Q movement, and influence their bottom line. So I'm going to say it again, Carol Gentry, and anybody else. If Q's talking about Roy Potter, that right there will tell you that it's not a government insider in the White House at all. Not associated with Trump. And it's certainly not military intelligence. Nobody's going to be concerned there about somebody as low as I am on the totem pole. Okay. And sorry to hurt your feelings, Vicky, that you're on a channel here in an interview that will probably not get that much coverage. But I have one other thing I want to say, and then it's back to you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm not really a publicity seeker.
No, you're a truth seeker, and people really need to go to your blog site. I'm just, you send me your articles on email, and I am thoroughly amazed at your understanding of the transportation system and how all of this is being turned against us and taken over by foreign powers. All of this has been, just everything that it's just amazing to me. And that's because you are a systems analyst, and you don't like me calling you an investigative reporter, but Vicky, you really are. That's really what you've done. You've really entered that. You're the who is a good one? Eric Severide was a commentator. I'm probably more like that than you, but you're the Bill Morrow, I guess, of the tech side. So that's how I feel about you. Let me say one more thing here, and I'll turn the time back over to you. There was also a Tim Batty, I think, who I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure, but Tim Batty said, What has GEC to do with Tracy Beans? And of course, GEC is the Global Engagement Center out of the State Department. I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to let you look at that, and you just. I don't mean you, Vicky. I'm talking to this Tim person. I'm going to let you decide that. I'm going to let you percolate that a little bit and think about it, okay? And I won't say any more about it than that, okay? There are some people out there that know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, I just had to answer those two questions myself, Vicky. So go ahead on what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I was going to say is that these systems that they're developing in our country, there are parallel systems being developed in other countries. They are truly building global systems. They are global systems. And so the problems that we're having, I don't know how much people in other countries know about these systems. I have one guy from Great Britain on my email list that was investigating Common Purpose, and he is fully aware of these systems. And so, we share information from time to time on, what's happening there. But these systems are being implemented everywhere. And so they're trying to mold, I'll say mold rather than manipulate, but they're trying to mold public opinion everywhere, all over the world. What a wonderful world it's going to be, when we have all of these conveniences, when the smart grid is in place, where they know everything about you and you can just wave your hand and pay for stuff. The list goes on of all these great, wonderful things that they're going to be able to do for you once all these systems are in place. But what the backside of that, the dark side of that, is that you will no longer have freedom of movement, you will no longer have freedom of thought, you will not have freedom of action, because they will direct your life. The future that I see for young people is just so grim. I don't even have words to express it. For once all of these systems are in place, it's like it's the end of freedom, the end of humanity. You become just an object in the computer system to be manipulated.
Right. And jumping back on YVA here, and again, I'm not saying this to necessarily point the fingers at them or have it to be pejorative, but the fact of the matter is that, like I said a few minutes ago, it looks to me, as you mentioned, that this was a move to capture this part of the market as Q drops away or becomes more suspect. And that was definitely my concern when I saw how Tracy approached this. And I want to address two more questions that came up. There's a Lori Waite who said the QAnon board has never ever posted anything about Roy. Ridiculous. Lori, that shows you that you don't know what you're talking about. Go back and look at the DEF CON 1 period where I had where that really got me upset. This was on January 7th, and a few days later, when the character B, who you probably don't even know anything about because you're somebody that's come in on here lately, okay? You don't know. A lot of these earlier posts were deleted by Q too because they weren't true. Not the one about me. I don't know if they left that one up or not, but the fact of the matter was, yes, Q mentioned me by name and said, backing up what B had been telling me, that he was making something crystal clear, and he thought that he had by addressing it, and he was addressing me. That's exactly what it was about. Now, I don't know about lately, about this person, Carol Gentry, who said this, or apparently was saying that, because I don't look for Q anymore. I don't have anything to do with it. I'm basing my response on what she said. But Q did address me, and they also talked about Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, and myself being outed. Absolutely. And B, this character B was there to be the shill for Q on Twitter. Now, one other thing I want to bring up. Mary Donahoe just said, Citizens Investigative Report, Katie never mentioned Roy, and she's ex-military. All I'll say about that, I had a lot of interest in the Citizens Investigative Report and Katie's explanations of Q and some other stuff early on, but now she is part of the QTuber. If you go to Patriot Soapbox and that area where they push certain people who talk about Q, Katie is one of the people, along with Jordan Sather and some others, Praying Medic, etc., that are listed there so that they can advertise, get their name out there, and obtain payment surreptitiously. I mean, you have to understand how the pyramid scheme works, but that's where Katie is. She's one of the major QTube people that are associated with Patriot Soapbox, and was brought in very, very early on, about the time that I was headed out, actually. I just needed to say that because a lot of these people that are following Q now, Q has started repeating the same things that were out last year that didn't come true right away, but now that it looks like Trump might be moving, now they're saying, oh, it's the same kind of verbiage again, acting like it's brand new. And these people that are just starting to follow Q don't understand that this was going on last year, and they were saying it was imminent. They're even saying that for instance, Hillary and Podesta were extradited or had been arrested, indicted, even in Gitmo. I mean, it was ridiculous. A lot of these new people in Q don't know about that, and now those same types of claims are being made again, when in fact Trump might now be ready to move. I pray that he is. So I just wanted to bring that up. Man, I wish there were some other people I was hoping would get on the chat here, Vicky, and ask us some questions. But you know what? I hate to say this, but I think most of what you probably said probably goes over the head of a lot of these people. Because even myself, computers are not my cup of tea. Somebody yesterday on my live chat accused me of not being tech savvy, and which is really funny because I've never claimed to be tech savvy. What I do is I do what the military taught me to do, and that is to be a resource or to bring people close to me that know the systems. And so that's why I have you on. But I think a lot of this is going over their heads. Let's answer this one, Vicky. Edelson James asks, Vicky, what can we do to combat this threat? I think that's a good question.
What you can do is to stay alert and do your own thinking. That's the number one thing. And if a group forms and they are cult-like and they demand that you adhere to a doctrine, you know that they're people to stay away from. Anybody that is a real researcher, they put the information out there and they say, go do your own research, go verify. If you see I did something wrong, if you see that I wrote something that's not correct, let me know. And another thing is that people that are honest researchers are always open to changing their mind if they get new information. The people that have an agenda and that are trying to be Pied Pipers, they never change their opinion, no matter what. No matter what you show them. If you show them they're wrong, they just ignore it, they shun you, they drop you out of their stream.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. That shows that they have an agenda and they're cult-like. They're not really making you think for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in this world, it is so important that everything that goes on in the media, it's really pretty surface level. That there's a lot underneath it. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of background. But they hope, the media, the mainstream media in particular, hopes that you will just understand the story from this surface level that they give you. Okay, and so the PSYOPs on the internet is designed to really guide you towards that surface level understanding. It's really not helpful for you to understand really the background. Okay, and I'll give you an example. The thing that I just wrote yesterday was about the confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh to be the Supreme Court Justice. Well, you know, the Democrats are putting on a show. They have their paid protesters and all of that stuff. But from one senator to the next, there are little snippets of information, little clues that there's a lot more going on than what they are presenting. Well, it turns out during the Bush administration, one of the issues having to do with Abu Ghraib, which was the prison in Iraq where there was allegedly torture, what the battle that was going on in the administration was about was the unitary executive, which basically means an autocratic leader for our country. Unitary executive. And such that, you know, in times of emergency, which we've been in a national emergency since September 11th, 2001. In times of emergency, he is the supreme leader. And so a lot of what's going on in those confirmation hearings has to do with the time when Brett Kavanaugh was the staff secretary in the Bush administration, and he was, of course, involved in all of those discussions concerning the unitary executive. So, but I don't know how many people know that. I don't know how many people.
Right, and I agree wholeheartedly. As a matter of fact, I find it despicable that the Congress has turned over all of that authority to the president, be it Trump or anybody else, because what it means is that they are destroying the system of checks and balances, and they do it for their own aggrandizement because they know that the war economy and all of that, they have their investments and they're getting paid off by lobbyists, et cetera, et cetera. Really, the Congress has been a big disappointment. I've reached the point, Vicky, and a lot of people are going to get really upset at me for saying this, but I've gotten to the point where I wouldn't mind going back to a monarchy because at least you know who to hold their feet to the fire and hold responsible, with the exception that the Bill of Rights needs to be kept inviolate. And that's really where I am, because I'm sick and tired of not being able to get the people that are responsible held down, and you know, they slither around like snakes. We probably ought to be closing this down here in just a couple of seconds, but I did want to ask you one other question. It was put up on the chat by a poster by the name of Big Toe. And this is going to be a firework. I know what's going to be, depending upon what your answer is here, but is there any tie-in with all of this to the Israeli system of talpiot? Do you know if there's any tie-in to that?
I think there is. I know that the Israelis developed systems, and that those systems are for the one I know about for sure has to do with the Oklahoma State government, and it was the aggregation of all the Medicaid systems around the country. There was legislation in the Oklahoma legislature for this company to do analysis, Capgemini to do analysis, and to sell. What they were trying to do was to sell a system to do the basic Medicaid processing. Well, when I researched that, one of the things they had to do for that contract was to find out all the hardware and software installed in the Oklahoma State government system. The company that they hired to do that was a small company, you know, one of those show pony entrepreneurs who happened to be a former Mossad agent. Okay, and the directory that he had that he was going to check all the hardware and software signatures with was maintained by China. Okay, now Israel, I know, was working with China. I don't know if they used China to develop these systems or not, but I am aware of the Talpiot program.
Yeah, Netanyahu actually gave a speech here not too long ago where he talked about Israel is the tech center and driving the tech for the rest of the world, and plans on, literally, he's saying, taking it over. And of course, they're looking at it, and a lot of this will enter into some other areas I don't want to get into right here. But basically, they would be the masters of the world at that point. So yeah, and you can, and I'm not saying that's, every country tries to put themselves in the best light to compete and to have that their system be perpetrated. Perpetrated is the wrong word. Perpetuated throughout the world, as I've talked about before. But yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that, and so I hope that answers Big Toe's question. So we probably better end here, Vicky. Is there anything you want to say real important about this issue with YVA, Tracy, and these two guys as we close down?
YVA. Now what?
That's the program they were on. Your Voice America, with Ann Vandersteel and of course Tracy Beans showing that program, and she is tied into YVA in one way or another. I'm not familiar with the details, however.
Well, they're just the second one that I've noticed. The first one was Axios. Axios is connected in with the tech industry. And they have done a number of programs that I've watched having to do with systems that are, the one that I saw in particular that sticks in my mind was about the healthcare system, telemedicine, and how it was being implemented in Africa. Okay, so, and they only present the bright side picture. They never flip it around. And that's another thing that everybody should do. When anybody ever gives you a bright side picture, flip it around and think about what's the dark side of it. Analyze it completely from that point of view, front and back, side to side. Try to extrapolate, where is this taking us? What's going to be the outcome, ultimately when we get there? Do that kind of analysis on everything. Think things through. That's one of the most important things. If you think things through, and if you do a 360 analysis, nobody will be able to lead you off in the wrong direction.
I like that, Vicky. My mom used to say, and a lot of people will know this quote, a lot of it has to do with honesty with yourself, too. And my mom used to say, to thine own self be true, and then you cannot be false with any man. And I agree with that 100%. Vicky, I can't thank you enough for coming and giving us a heads up on this. I want to thank you so much, and maybe just in closing down, you can tell everybody about your blog site or any other place where you post your most wonderful investigative information.
Okay, well, my website is called thetechnocratictyranny.com. Thetechnocratictyranny.com. And my email address is on there, and if anybody has any questions that they think of later, just send me an email and I'll do my best to answer it or point you in a direction where you can find an answer or whatever.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
To try and help.
Yes.
That's.
Yes, and what is your blog, Channeling Reality? That's the one I actually put on there. I forgot to add the Technocratic Tyranny, which I will do as soon as we close down. I'll put that in the description box. But what is Channeling Reality?
That's my old website. Has a lot of research on it. A lot of my very early research, but I had to change platforms because the software program that I used to develop that site went obsolete.
Oh,
so
you've been around a long time then, haven't you? Oh, that's amazing. Well, good. Well, I'll add that in the description box when we're done. That your current site is thetechnocratictyranny.com, and I appreciate you reminding about that. I don't know why I forgot about it. It's in all the things that you send me. But sometimes, when you're putting on a live stream, your thoughts are somewhere else and you're not quite as together as you'd like to be. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming and talking to us today. I think this is very important for everybody to consider. And thanks, Vicky. And I'll wait to hear from you with some new information, which you always come out with. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Roy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We'll see you later out here.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And there she goes. Wow, and for a lot of you folks, I know she's even talking over my head often. Obviously, she's a very intelligent woman and has a lot of information. And I think that if we at least look at the basics of the information that she gave us, basically what she's saying is keep your well, for lack of a better term, your situational awareness on high. People are out there, and there's nothing wrong with making money, selling a product and those types of things. At least what's going on with YVA, at least they're not claiming to be these intelligence people. And by the way, they talked about a couple of their sites, which I tried to find. I meant to ask Vicky if she had done this as well. But one of the sites that they talked about was votertruth.com. Well, when I tried to look that up, it was 404'd. It could be user error. I could have done something wrong, but I couldn't get it to come up. And the other one is Report for the President, which apparently is an organization that William Binney is associated with. So these guys might, in fact, be tied in there. It's possible. But I find it, as I said yesterday when I was talking about this coming out today, this special program, I find it very suspicious that the level of these people, that they would come out to YVA and Tracy Beans first. The way this thing was orchestrated and opened up looked way too much to me like the opening up of Q last year and how that came about. And so that's why I decided to have Vicky on. Again, not necessarily dispersion, but I see people taking advantage. Everybody wants to be a spy. Everybody wants to be in the know, know all the stuff that nobody else wants to know about. It's an aphrodisiac. It's something that catches you and can become actually quite addictive. And so I did anticipate that there would probably be another move in that direction. Q of the face, not saying that they're part of President Trump or military intelligence in the White House, but analyzing data. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but the circumstances of this, and I don't want to point any more fingers. I've done enough pointing of fingers today. The circumstances of the way this thing came about, I'll just say be wary. Keep your situational awareness on high, okay? I want to thank everybody for coming, and I'm probably not going to do another live stream until next Tuesday, unless something big comes up, and of course big things are happening every day. President Trump bringing out that whole information about the New York Times and that there's treason going on, and whether it was planted by the New York Times itself with the help of some ghost writers, maybe people who had been in the administration or whatever. Really, right now, unless something new has developed today, I haven't heard that they've identified anybody in particular. I'm not sure that they will. But the mere fact that the president is willing to say that treason is going on now, and that the New York Times admitted that there is, because they've been saying that there is no deep state coup, and now, of course, with this whole op-ed by an anonymous person, very brave, that they posted up there. Now they're saying, oh yeah, there actually is, and they're going to take down Trump and all the rest of us. And the danger, of course, is, and I've been talking about it from day one, Trump is the symbol of the awakening of the American people to the benefits and necessities of a constitutional republic and a Bill of Rights, and a government that's held accountable to us, not the other way around. So the end result of everything that the deep state, the New World Order, Clinton, Obama, etc. have done is they're attacking Trump, and they're willing to go as far as assassinating him. I have no question of that in my mind. But we also know from the evidence that has now surfaced that all Trump supporters, they want to hold us all in criminal ways for supporting Trump, saying that we're actually Russian agents and that we're subversive to the United States. No, we're subversive to a government that is out of control, that starts wars without justification for money and for empire building, steals land from our citizens. It's funny, isn't it? That's going on in South Africa now, and they're trying to deny that it's happening. In fact, it is. We had Baruch, the scribe, telling us about that a couple weeks back, Paul Ferber, and we've seen some other people come out with that. President Trump even asked Pompeo to look at it. Those same kind of land grabs using slightly different reasons because they have to, tailor it to the United States people, to the Americans. Those same types of land grabs are being done by the BLM, as we saw at Bundy Ranch and at Malheur. And those types of things are going on all across the country. So the land grab thing is going on. This is all counter to the American goal, the American dream of truth, justice in the American way, and being able to live our lives with liberty. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The government has the deep state, which is trying to hold on to their steady state, their deep state institutions, were about restricting our liberty, about restricting our rights. As a matter of fact, redefining them into places where political correctness and things that are outside the normative now become pushed to the extent that they become the major themes, forgetting about the rest of the Americans that are out there, hardworking men and women, etc., who don't want to buy into the minority. When I say minority, I don't mean racial. I mean the minority arguments of, you have 3% of or less of, and the government and the media pushes those platforms in our face constantly, day in and day out, and ignores the 98%, 97, 98% of the rest of the population and what their concerns are. So that's kind of bouncing around the bush, but I think you understand why I'm doing that under the circumstances today. So at any rate, we'll close down here. Be aware that, like I said, that they are going after Trump. The coup has surfaced now. They're admitting that they're there. Mueller is a criminal. He's a traitor. So is everybody involved with him. All through the prior Obama administration is still around down there in OFA, just a few blocks from the White House. We have been infiltrated for at least the last 30 years, I'll say the last 50 to 60. And we were put to sleep. And unfortunately, our leaders have gone down this trail. Remember Petraeus, General Petraeus, who I worked for at one time. Remember, he was the director for the CIA for a short period of time. He said, there's a quote, you can go look it up. He said, the United States is going away. The future is the North American Union. He violated his own oath of office. That's where they want to take us, ladies and gentlemen, is to the New World Order. The New World Order is not going to be a panacea. It's going to be a hellhole because God isn't going to be running it. The people that want to destroy you and your family are going to be running it. Thanks for coming. God bless you. God bless yours. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Keep your situational awareness up high. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. And may God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And, of course, may God bless President Donald Trump and all of his righteous endeavors. And may the Lord send him the spirit of discernment, that it may come upon him as the dews from heaven, and as I've been saying here lately, more like a a thunderstorm, more like a downpour, that he will know the difference between the right and the wrong, and be able to have the courage to do the right thing. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Okay, again, thanks, Vicky, for being on. Thanks, everybody, for coming and taking part. All right, out here for now.